Hey folks, welcome to another episode from Charting Star. I'm Joe. It's Sunday, the 18th of September. It's going to be my last video before my vacation. I'm going to Italy for 10 days, so I will be a bit more quiet than usual for the next couple of days. And I think the wild moves will continue for the next couple of weeks into October. To point out that. And on Wednesday is a very important date, the Fed day. They will announce by how many bips they will raise the rates. Everyone thinks it's going to be now 75 bips. I think there's a possibility that they will rise it by 100. The same with CPI. I was actually talking to a friend of mine about that on that day, and I said, well, everyone is thinking the CPI will be less, and everyone is already in that party mood. And I asked him, hey, do you actually expect the CPI to be worse? And he said, yeah, well, there's a possibility. And then bam, it happened on last Tuesday, and the market kind of collapsed before the US actually opened. And we're going to hop into the DAX now, and this is a quarterly chart. I was twittering that earlier, and what you see here, each candle represents 3 months, and I just wanted to point out that similarity we had to that starting point of that financial crisis in 2008. The blue line is the EMAR 5, and every time it closes below and retested that line, usually the Fed or the European Central Bank stepped in, and I wonder if they are going to do it this time or if they're going to let it drop. And just comparing these candlesticks, it's ridiculous how it looks the same. And if they are going to repeat that, it's going to be a much wilder ride, what we actually have seen so far. So just keep that in mind. That's my quarterly chart from the DAX. And so let's continue with the weekly. And just by having a look at that weekly candle, it's a bearish engulfing, which is very bearish. And just considering these cycles, we had a new primary cycle start here at the beginning of July, and we rallied for 7 weeks to the primary cycle top, which was also a half primary cycle top in week 7. Then we came down into week 9 for a half primary cycle bottom. And now have a look what happens. We rallied for 3 weeks and topped out. And I'm pretty sure that we topped out here already, and we are going to be in a left-hand translation again. That means that we couldn't break through that high of the first half cycle. We had, by the way, the same thing at that primary cycle which started in March. We topped out in week 4. We rallied now a bit longer. Then we came down for half primary cycle bottom in week 10. And then in week 14 we topped out. We couldn't break through that high. And in the end, that whole thing turned out to be bearish, and we went for a primary cycle bottom in week 18. And then it's where a new cycle started. So we have pretty much the same. So we are in week 11, and we topped out already on that half cycle, in my point of view. And usually these primary cycles, they run between 15 and 26 weeks. The last one we had was 18 weeks. So we have at least another 4 weeks, which should bring us new lows. Just considering that cycle theory. And I didn't zoom out that much because I don't want to give you all the information I have. There is a cycle bottom suggested in the last week of October. So just keep that in mind. And by the way, let's continue with a daily. And I gave you that crossing intersection here on like 2 weeks ago. And as you can see, it worked quite well. We had like a cycle low here also on the 4-hour time frame, also on the daily, and we bounced almost 1,000 points to the upside. I have to be honest, that move here to the downside, it made me a bit insecure as well after that gas pipeline news came out. But after that, DAX recovered quite well, and we rallied up until that CPI data came out. So I can tell you one thing, that next cycle low, it fits also the weekly. So yeah, October will be the month, in my point of view, which is going to be wild. And this is my other daily here. I was showing that like almost 4 or 5 months ago, and I haven't changed that path. And it's still valid. We still have plenty of gaps down here out of 2020. And also targets down here. And once we hop into my other daily, I was giving you that descending triangle. And also concerning Elliott, we can consider that whole sideways move here, or we are slightly making lower highs and we're maintaining these lows. We could count that as a wave 4. And once we consider this as 1, 2, 3, if you have seen my latest video about the Dow Jones, about that expanding diagonal, we also have the same pattern in the S&P 500. The last leg should be the longest. So in this case, concerning Elliott, if this is the start of that wave 5, it actually fits to these targets down here, which is 10,550 and 8,589. It's very likely that we reach these. So yeah, so just be careful whenever you take money in your hands, and if you want to trade that wild market right now. And this is my 4-hour time frame chart. I was twittering that also earlier. I mentioned that new magic number, which is 12 to 20. It fits still that 100% target of that shoulder, head, shoulder pattern, which is still valid, and it also gives us a 100% move of the first leg to the downside. And this one here suggests a low at the end of September, so end of next week or beginning of the following. And this one here is another 4-hour time frame. I was showing that channel, which is very, very clean. You have these 2 touches on the upside. You have these 1, 2, 3, 4 touches on the downside, and that shoulder pattern is just about to get triggered. And this one has a height of 1,400 points, which means just concerning the statistical value, which would be around 700 points from here, will get us into the 12,000 area. And once they actually do the 100% move, that would mean we go all the way down to 11,300. Just keep that in mind, and I would take that into account. So that's about DAX. As I mentioned, I will be off for the next couple of days, so wish you all the best, and be careful out there. There is a storm building up in my point of view, and this is going to be very, very wild. I hope you enjoyed that video. Give me a thumb up or subscribe me, and we'll see each other on Twitter. I try to make at least every 2 or 3 days an update in the evening. All right, all the best, and bye-bye.